Here is the easiest way to beat the rubber band boss, the elastic band boss in Paper Mario: The Origami King. Before you're able to make your first move in the fight, the boss will launch some rubber bands onto the field, replacing the up and down arrows with elastic bands that face up or down. The way that these rubber bands work is they launch you one tile in the direction that they're facing, and then after that you keep moving the way that you were moving. And if you pass over this tile again, then you trip. In the first move, you want to set up your tile so that you step on the on switch and you finish on a magic circle right beside the boss. You want it to be as close to the boss as possible. Right beside it is perfect. And this is because the closer you are when you use the 1000-fold arm technique, the more damage you will do. The boss will call back some of the elastic bands on the field and heal itself, then it will attack you. These attacks are pretty important to block. If you don't block these attacks successfully, then you'll be bound, you won't be able to move for the next turn, and the boss will come up to you and attack you and deal a lot of damage. It's okay if this happens, but it's easier if you're able to block these attacks. And you'll want to do the exact same thing in the second turn and in the third turn. You'll want to line up all of the tiles so that you step on an on switch and you end on a magic circle as close to the boss as possible. Since you have to do this 3 times, you can have the magic circle right next to the boss all 3 times, or if it's too difficult to do that all 3 times, then it's okay if 2 of the times you're right beside the boss and 1 of the times you're a little bit further. You still should be able to do enough damage. If your HP gets low during the fight, you could see if there's some way that you could line up the hearts, or you could end on an attack panel and you could use an item to heal you. Or, if you hold the Y button to cheer, if you cheer enough coins, sometimes the toads will heal you before the round starts. Before you do this the 3rd time, you'll want to make sure that your HP is pretty high, because after you do this the 3rd time, you'll get to the 2nd phase of the boss fight. And once it is the boss's turn, it will do a lot of damage in this first attack. So you'll want to block this attack, and you'll want to make sure that your HP is high to start this round. In the 2nd phase of the boss fight, there are 2 things you have to do. You have to step on an on panel, and you have to get to a magic panel to do the 1000-fold arm technique right beside the boss. You have to get right up to it in order to do it for it to work. If this is impossible to do in 1 turn, or if it's too difficult to do in 1 turn, then what you can do is step on the on panel on 1 turn, and then the next turn, set up the 1000-fold arm technique to be in place and get to that during the 2nd turn. And one important thing to keep in mind is that you want to make sure that your HP is not very low for this, because while you're using the 1000-fold arm technique, the boss will attack you while it is your turn. So for 1 minute, the boss will wiggle back and forth and then go to attack you, and what you have to do is grab the rubber band in between these attacks or before it attacks you. This can be a little bit tricky, and the higher your HP is, the easier this will be, because you'll be able to survive its attacks if you make a mistake if your HP is higher. Once you succeed in catching it, what you'll do is mash the A button, keep smacking it against the ground, and then you pull it back and launch it, and that is the end of the boss fight. Hopefully this guide has helped you. If this has helped you, please let me know in a comment below. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more of my content, and enjoy the game!